Hello and welcome to Keys and Decor, the podcast where we talk all things home, buying, decorating, and making your space feel like your sanctuary. I'm your host, Latoya Cooper, a realtor and former marketing professional who's passionate about helping you navigate the journey from house to home. Hello and welcome back to Keys and Decor. It's been such an amazing week. I hope that your week has gone well. Before I get started, I do want to say again, thank you to everyone who has taken the time to listen to this podcast. I can't really, I can see that most of the listeners are coming through Apple Podcasts, and there may be some others, and I can see YouTube just fine, but it's hard for me to really tell exactly how many, but I can definitely see the views, listeners. I can see how many listeners have listened to the episode and how many have followed. And I just want to say thank you because I believe I'm coming up on a month maybe. And so I'm really grateful for everyone who has taken the time and who has found value in what I'm offering. If you haven't already, I just want to ask you to just take a look, especially if you're on one of the audio platforms, or even if you're on YouTube. Make sure that you're following or that you have subscribed. I can see that you're listening, but I would love for you to follow, subscribe, because it does help. And if you haven't already, please leave a review, even if it's just hitting the 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, because it does help the podcast to grow, and it just lets them know that you find value in it, so they'll show it to others who could also find value in it, okay? Now, today we're going to be talking about 7 mistakes to avoid as a first-time homeowner. Because let's be real, buying a home is so exciting, but there are some serious pitfalls that can make the process stressful, expensive, and just plain old disappointing. All right. So if you're thinking about buying your first home soon, this episode is going to be one for you for sure, because this is going to save you from some of those, oh, I wish I had known this, or I wish I had known that. This is going to save you from having those moments. Okay. And if you've already bought your first home and you made some mistakes along the way, it's okay. It happens. We've all been there. Feel free to share your experience. If you're on YouTube, you can share them right in the comments. If you're on an audio platform, go to my social on Instagram or either the Facebook page and leave me a message, okay? Because it's all about learning, and we can learn a lot from each other. So let's go ahead and get into it. So mistake number 1, we're going to talk about 7 mistakes today, okay? And ways to avoid them, things to do instead. So mistake number 1 is not checking your credit score early. Your credit score matters. We should know that by now, right? Because your credit score is like your financial report card. And mortgage lenders will judge you based on that. Okay? That's what they use to determine what they're going to, if they're going to lend you any money, and if so, how much. Your credit score, along with, of course, your credit history. But if you wait until right before you're ready to buy, before you check it, you might be in for a surprise. A low score can mean higher interest rates, which means more money out of your pocket over time, over the long run. But even if your score is decent, a little improvement can make a big difference, all right? So always room for improvement. So make sure that you try to check your credit score at least 6 months before you plan to buy. If you're at a place right now where you feel like, I feel like I'm ready to go ahead and start looking into buying a home, it's okay. Go ahead and check your credit score as soon as possible. There are places, such as, of course, there's Credit Karma that people tend to want to use a lot. But just know that when you use Credit Karma, and even like sometimes through your bank, a lot of banks offer a free credit score update once a month. But just remember with those that they don't always use the same credit model that mortgage lenders use. So just use it to kind of give you a general idea, but always in your mind know that your actual mortgage score could be a little bit lower than what is showing on Credit Karma or even through your bank, okay? So just know that. But go ahead and check your credit score. Try to check it at least 6 months before you buy, but check it as soon as possible, okay? If it's lower than expected, work on paying down your debt, avoiding late payments, and not opening any new credit accounts, okay? No more. Don't even try. Don't even run an application. Just focus on waiting until you're ready to apply for your mortgage. And a lot of lenders, some lenders do offer free credit consultations where they'll kind of help you to determine what needs to be done to get your credit to where you need it to be. All right. Okay, so mistake number 2 is underestimating the cost of buying a home. All right, so a lot of buyers focus on saving for that down payment, which is all well and good, but that's not the only cost to consider. All right, so we're going to talk about some of the hidden expenses that first-time home buyers can sometimes overlook. Number 1 is closing costs. Yeah, closing costs can be something, all right? We're talking anywhere from 2 to 5% of the home price. But your closing costs basically includes things such as your lender fees, your title insurance, and attorney fees. So make sure that you save for those, okay? Make sure that you're saving for those. Another cost is the cost for your home inspections and your appraisal. Now, your appraisal is something that will be required most likely from your lender, but it is an out of pocket expense. Okay, so that's something that, of course you have to pay for it. They're not gonna foot the bill. You have to pay for it. Okay, but it is required. And then when it comes to your inspections, now, a general inspection can cost you a few $100s, but definitely worth every penny. Not only that, but, and we're going to talk more about inspections in just a minute, but not only that, but know that when it comes to inspections, there are different kinds of inspections. So you may want to, of course, you want to have your general inspection, but let's say maybe you have a child who has respiratory issues, then you may want to get an air quality inspection. You may want to get a termite or wood destroying insect inspection. If you have a home with a well, with well water, maybe you want to get a radon test, but you also want to have one done for the water. So there are a lot of different types of inspections outside of the general inspection. So make sure that you're getting all the inspections that you need to make sure that, the home is up to standards. But we'll talk more about home inspections in just a minute, all right? Now, another hidden cost is your moving costs, of course, because whether you're hiring movers yourself, whether you're hiring movers or you are moving yourself and you're just renting a truck, it costs money to move. Moving is not free. Okay, so there are moving costs to consider. And then there are HOA fees, which if you're buying in a neighborhood that has a homeowners association, make sure that you check on the monthly or quarterly, annual dues, whatever they are. I know some neighborhoods you may have 2 different HOAs, so make sure that you are clear on those, and make sure that you're clear on what the HOAs are, what the fees are. And also, sometimes when you initially move into a neighborhood, there are fees involved. It's you just initially, come in and be a part of that homeowners association. So make sure that you consider that and that you're clear on that part, okay? That's something that your realtor can definitely help you with before you even make an offer. And then, of course, there is your ongoing maintenance expenses, because once you own the home, you can no longer call the landlord. There's no landlord to call. So if something breaks, it is your responsibility. It's up to you to fix it. Okay, so having an emergency fund for repairs is a must. So before you buy, just sit down and calculate all the costs involved beyond the down payment. And when in doubt, you can always just save more money than you think you'll need, because anything extra after you get all settled into your new home, hey, put it in your emergency fund. You can never go wrong with that, right? All right, so let's talk about mistake number 3. Not getting pre-approved before house hunting. So picture this. You found a house that you absolutely love, but by the time you talk to your lender to get pre-approved for the mortgage, someone else snatches it up. Now, that actually happened to a client of mine last year. We started the home search. They didn't want to do a pre-approval in advance because I guess they weren't really sure, of when they would find their dream home, So started looking, found the dream home. Fell in love with the home. Went ahead, spoke with the lender. But guess what? While in the process of getting that done, someone else swooped in, made an offer that was accepted. It happens. And with that, it actually affected the home search after that, because after that, it was so hard for her to look at any other home and love it, because she had already found her dream home. So, and it took some time, and we had to take a break for a while. It took some time just for her to just mentally reset and to even be open to other homes that were not exactly like the one that she had found and loved. But, it did affect, it affected how she saw other homes. So you don't want to be disappointed. You don't want to fall in love with a home and someone else snatch it up, because it does affect you when you feel like you found the one. But you also don't want to fall in love with a home that's outside of your budget. And that's another important reason for getting the pre-approval first. The pre-approval, it's about, of course, convenience and being able to move quickly when you do find your home. But it also tells you how much house you can afford, and it shows the sellers that you're a serious buyer. Because really, without that, sellers won't even consider your offer, at least in North Carolina. Okay, you have to have that pre-approval with your offer. So before you start browsing Zillow like it's your full-time job, talk to a lender. And when I say talk to a lender, I know sometimes sometimes if buyers don't have a lender in mind, they automatically think about the bank first. They think about wherever they bank. But remember that there are mortgage lenders. You don't have to necessarily go through your bank. And, you might can even find a better deal, with a mortgage lender. So that's something that a good realtor, such as myself, will be able to connect you with, are some lenders that, that'll be able to help you. So talk to a lender, get a pre-approval letter so that you're ready to make an offer when the right home comes along. And you also know the types of homes that you need to be looking for on your home search, okay? Now, mistake number 4. Ignoring the neighborhood. Falling for a house without checking out the neighborhood, that can be a really big mistake, okay? Because listen, you can change the countertops, you can update the floors, but you cannot change the neighborhood. So, if possible, before you buy, visit the neighborhood at different times of the day, because what feels like a peaceful Sunday afternoon might be a traffic nightmare on Monday morning. Okay, so if possible, check out the area during the day, night, and weekends. Look up the crime rates, look up the school ratings. Even if you don't have kids, it's still important to look at the school ratings because school quality, it does affect property value, okay? Also, just take a look at any upcoming developments in the area, which is also something that your realtor can help you with. Test the commute. Test it during the time of day that you'll actually be driving to work. That's important too. I actually had a client not too long ago when they were considering a home, and she drove the route. She wanted to drive the route before she made the decision because it required getting on the highway to go home from work. So she wanted to know, well, what is the traffic like? Because going on a Saturday to the showing, the traffic is nothing on a Saturday compared to what it is on 4 o'clock any day of the week. Okay, going from Raleigh to Wake Forest. So make sure that you test the commute during the times that you'll actually be driving to work, just so that you can see what it's like. And also, before I did say one of the first things I keep saying, if possible, check the area during the day, night, and weekends. And I say if possible because I don't want you to draw out the home hunting process. Like if you love the home, don't delay your offer a week because you're waiting to visit the area during the weekend or on a certain day, because that can cause you to also lose out on the home. You don't want to love the home and then have someone else swoop in and get it. So if you're going to check the area, go ahead and get it done. Get it done quickly. Don't delay, and don't let it hold up the process. Okay? So just remember that. And now we'll move on to mistake number 5, which is skipping the home inspection. And yes, even for new construction. Yep. And I know sometimes buyers, they do want to skip the inspection to save money. It's always tempting, but don't do this, please. Do not do this, all right? A home inspection can reveal hidden issues that could cost you thousands of dollars, could save you thousands of dollars later, okay, if they are revealed during the home inspection. And this applies to new construction also, because just because a home is brand new doesn't mean that it is totally flawless, okay? Builders can make mistakes too. We're human. So having a final inspection, it just ensures that everything is up to standard before you close. So always get a home inspection, no exceptions, okay? Now, mistake number 6 is just not understanding your mortgage options. Not all mortgages are created equal, okay? FHA, VA, USDA, conventional. There are many options, and choosing the wrong one could cost you. Okay, it could cost you. All right. So, for example, FHA loans, they have lower down payment requirements, but they also come with mortgage insurance. And VA loans, no down payment, but only eligible for veterans. USDA typically require no down payment, but they're only available in certain areas. The moral of the story is to just talk to a lender who can explain your options, okay? They can help to make sure that you're getting a mortgage that best fits your financial goals, okay? And I'll actually be bringing a lender on soon to dive deeper into all of these options and what they are. So stay tuned for that episode, okay? Mistake number 7 is letting emotions take over. All right, last but not least, don't let emotions make the decision for you, okay? I know it's easy to fall in love with the house, but you have to think long term. Are you overpaying, or do you want to overpay for this house just because it's pretty? Or are you stretching your budget just because it feels right? Now, I'm a very mindful person. And I do believe in just being mindful of how things make me feel, because I feel like your feelings and your gut, they can identify things even before you even realize that anything is wrong or is right. Sometimes you can also have really good feeling. You can have a good feeling about something. So, I get that. I do. But you have to, especially when you're making such a huge decision, take a step back and breathe. Okay, take a breath. Make sure that it makes sense financially and practically. Okay, so what you really need to focus on is sticking to your budget. Be mindful of your feelings, but have a trusted agent that will help you stay level-headed. Okay, that's really important. All right. Ooh, I feel like we covered a lot today, but the episode is definitely shorter than I thought it would be. But yeah, that was a lot. Let's just do a quick recap. Okay, so to make sure that you avoid all of those mistakes, the game plan is to check your credit score early, budget for more than just the down payment, get pre-approved before house hunting, research the neighborhood, never skip the home inspection, understand your mortgage options, and don't let emotions make your decisions. Buying your first home is a huge deal, but if you avoid these mistakes, you'll be in a much better position to find the perfect place without the stress. All right, so if you're thinking about buying and you're in the Triangle area of North Carolina, but you want a little bit of guidance, okay? You want someone who will educate you about your choices as you are going through the home buying process, and to make sure that you find what you're looking for. Listen, I offer free home buyer consultations. My email is down in the show notes, so be sure to reach out to me, or you can DM me on social. But let's make your home dreams a reality, okay? Let's do it in 2025. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure that you share this episode with a friend who needs to know about these, okay? You don't want them to make a mistake either, all right? Sharing is caring. Let's look out for our friends. Until next time, stay mindful, stay inspired. Happy home hunting.